Kate Johnson, Manager of Faculty Engagement here at Ashford. Thank you so much for joining us for Session 4 on Engaging Associate Faculty Series. I'm excited to have the College of Ed's Program Chair, Kelly Olson Stewart. She originally, I found out about the research that she was doing because she was traveling through Iowa and came and visited us at the Clinton campus, and we went out to lunch and had a good chat, but I was so excited to hear about the research that she had already done and then continues to do through funding through UFP. She's going to be talking about that today, and hopefully have some time to take your questions at the end. So without further ado, I'll hand off to Kelly.
Thanks, Kate, and thanks for having me. We did have a lovely lunch. If you ever get to Clinton, Kate knows all the places to go eat. And it's a fun crowd there. The Clinton crowd is a fun group. So I appreciate being here. I'm excited to just talk a little bit about engaging associate faculty. It's a topic near and dear to all of our hearts, and focus a little bit on the engagement research, what I have found thus far, and I'll talk a lot about the fact that this is an ongoing study. There's never quite the answer. And I just was presenting on the topic in Colorado last week and at OLC, and found that this topic is hot as far as, there's a lot of folks who are in online education, online higher ed specifically, and have a ton of associate faculty, and we're all trying to figure out how do we connect with them. And really what it comes down to is about making sure that our students have a consistent experience. Everyone feels pretty confident when it comes to the experience of full-time faculty. How do we make sure our students have a consistent experience with all their instructors? And so I will jump in and get started here. Let me share my screen. All right, hopefully you are seeing the correct screen there. Let me make sure here.
We see it, Kelly, you're good.
Awesome. Hang on one second, I just stopped my share. All right. So really this came out of the idea of this problem of practice, this authentic wonder that we've talked about with a variety of people, and sort of this idea of we have a lot of our courses, in fact, about 83% of them within the College of Ed, being taught by associate faculty members. And, we're working through a mentoring process to support associate faculty. We're working through our IQR process is running and strong. And we're still trying to figure out how do we make sure that our student experience is at the same high quality level that we want it to be. And so then this thing called a UFP came along, and thanks to Amy Rogers getting me hooked on that process. It was perfect because it is really action research coming alive. And what the UFP process forced me to do was to first get into the literature and find out, are other people experiencing the same issue or the same wonder? So I started digging around instructor burnout from a full-time faculty perspective, but then also having been an associate faculty in other places, the question about does that get old over time, being what we call the pajama professor? Associate faculty support. So what have others around the nation or the world found around that? How do we virtually mentor people in an authentic and engaging way that honors experience and insights that they bring? And then just overall online learning, and what is the professional development or the professional learning need to look and sound like for a virtual associate faculty member? And so then the UFP process is great because you get into the literature, you write a manageable review of that literature, and then figure out, okay, what do I want to know in this study? What questions do I want to know the answers to? And then hone it way down, right? Because we can get really, really broad, and we want to, get all of the ins and outs from our associate faculty members. But it really is, okay, I'm going to ask questions that are within the sphere of my influence. So you'll see that there's a lot of qualitative questions that were asked and opportunities for associate faculty to provide information in a qualitative way. And they let me know a lot of stuff, right? And some of the stuff that they wanted to share, I didn't have any sphere of influence over, including things like pay or time. But we can report that back to those who do have that in their sphere of influence to provide additional information. So then moving through the UFP process includes ORCs and IRB approval. Again, helps you refine as a scholarly practitioner your research abilities, your skills in that arena, and making sure that IRB is all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And then the rollout is action research. The awesome part was to get funding to then go somewhere and do a presentation, which was great. And we presented on this topic. I say we because my husband did a presentation as well. But we actually presented in Dublin on this topic. And then moving forward, though, I didn't need the funding, right, to do the presentation. This is a real, authentic problem of practice in my role. And now coming from Master of Curriculum and Instruction, the Mackey program, moving into the program chair position for MAED, really started with this umbrella idea of, okay, College of Ed, what does the associate faculty experience look like for us? And then now, working with Alan Belcher, rolling into what does it specifically look like for MAED? So out of the literature, these are simply the highlights of the best practices that came out of that literature. And I'm glad to share all of that with you and all of the resources as well. But essentially, faculty want a place to ask their questions. They don't want to feel like anything is a silly question. They want a clear place to go for resources, best practices, what does an amazing discussion board post look and sound like? Where are the templates for the course I teach? Where is that one-stop shop that I can get all of the information? Additionally, in the literature indicates they want to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody. Or some people really love to do the video piece, but they need that support. Additional onboarding, their orientation, what is the training that they go through, associate faculty go through look like, and how does that connect to their practices? They want to have trained mentors. They want people who are there to support them all the way through. The technical side, of course, being online is very important for them. Additional curriculum support as links break and changes happen. They want it to be very clear where they're getting that information and support. And then they really want, it's that relationship piece, which we know, having worked in a variety of contexts, is so important. They want the formal and the informal. They want to be invited to events. They want to get connected. They want to be part of a network to feel like we're all in it together making a difference. So these are my specific research questions. So I think it's important for you to start thinking about as you're wrestling with this idea of how do we best support associate faculty, what are your questions? What are the things that you're really wanting to know? So mine were what are the experience, successes, and challenges? What is it like to be a College of Ed associate faculty member at Ashford? How are you impacted as an associate faculty member by the current course support that is provided, and specifically the IQR process? And being part of that team, so doing IQRs and now doing mentoring as well, it was really interesting to me. I wanted to know, what did it feel like receiving that IQR process from their perspective? Additionally, resources, practice, strategies, systems. What do we have, or what would you want to see? Lots of the associate faculty work in a variety of places, so what would be the most meaningful? And additionally, how can we create a system of support for associate faculty? So I simply created an infographic that I'll share, and it just has sort of the basics, because there was about, 120 pages of qualitative data that came through that I looked through, and so those are the nuggets. And then here's the two methods, were simply two surveys. The first survey had a 70% return rate, which was like, what? How does this happen? But what it really said to me is our associate faculty members were waiting to be asked. They really did want to share their experiences, insights. Some of that was revealing, painful revealing. Some of it was like affirming, and it was a matter of weeding through that to get to sort of the kernels of what we can control. The second survey was specifically around the IQR perceptions, and that was provided to those who were receiving an IQR or a walkthrough in a 3-month period. So that had a 38% return rate, again, a good amount of returns, and just gathering their insight as to whether the practice of going through an IQR or receiving information about a walkthrough was beneficial to their practice and impactful to their teaching, and ultimately coming back again to the consistency in student experience. So these are some of the benefits that came out of the survey about being an associate faculty member: flexibility, impact, and of course our students. And the challenges, again, align with the literature, which are isolation, class sizes. You know, our associate faculty complained about being too large or too small. Pay, this is right when we were switching to Canvas, so there were certainly some tech issues, or feeling more insecure around the technology. Scheduling practices that they didn't know soon enough, or that they wanted to have a schedule for the whole year of what they were teaching. Work expectations, so this is going to come up a lot, and it's really around this idea that the contract is a 12-hour contract, and they, associate faculty said repeatedly that they felt like we were asking them to do way more than 12 hours worth of work a week. And then just overall communication. So I just want to sample some of the questions, again, that I was interested in finding out about in College of Ed associate faculty. So overall satisfaction in teaching. So you can see here the results just on a 0 to 10 scale. The letter grade that they would give us regarding communication with associate faculty. Feeling connected to other colleagues within the College of Ed. So here we were, you know, a little more split in the CDF range. How do you want to receive support? This is an ongoing challenge. I know for all of us trying to schedule webinars, we're trying to find that perfect time. And so whether it's live or recorded, how many people want a phone call, how many people prefer a small group. So finding out that really recorded webinars for most folks work best, and then the live webinar next, and they do prefer being in a small group. So this was interesting, the level of ease or difficulty in attaining the resources that you need. So we were sort of split there. Do associate faculty members know where to go to get the resources they need for their courses? And then this like breaks my heart. And I just think about the amazing expertise of our associate faculty members and the wisdom that they bring. And when you ask them how much do they feel they're valued, their inputs and opinions are valued. So that may be on course revision work, or it could be on just overall insight, students, challenges. But what letter grade would you give us about that? And you know, we were in the C and D range on that. And I just think like it's such a missed opportunity of how do we make sure that they're as involved as they want to be, still within that 12 hours of window for their teaching and providing additional insights. And this was, again, how effectively are your talents being utilized? And then here's some information, qualitative data around how did they view the IQR process itself. So receiving that phone call information where someone is talking through their tiptoe through their courses, and how did they see that as beneficial to their teaching. So they did indicate that it improves their instruction. They found it constructive, that it encouraged them to really be reflective, helped them focus on areas for growth and ongoing professional learning. It was helpful to have a connection with somebody, validating, and gave them some other ideas that they may not know. For example, I know someone I was recently talking to didn't know that they could just click and do the video or use the audio feature right in Canvas. And then what are the challenges for their IQR and walkthrough the process? And what did they say about that? So this was kind of interesting because they were saying that the rubric, they felt like the evaluators were inconsistent. Each year it was a different evaluator. They didn't necessarily like that. They wanted to have a connection with someone and then have them revisit their courses again. They perceived that there was arrogance or tone of some of the evaluators. And really the theme of you're expecting more out of me, and you're giving me examples from full-time faculty. So when I think about that, the comments that were emerging were really around this idea above that full-time faculty were asking associate faculty to do work above the 12-hour realistic work expectation. And that we weren't realizing that as we were looking in people's courses, that we were having the same expectations that we would have for ourselves, and that we were giving examples that were from our course, which may or may not have been perceived as helpful in the fact that I sit in front of a computer screen all day and can do that, and they, have other jobs or retired or whatever. So some folks did not feel that they were valued or honored for their experiences through the process, that it was simply a list of everything that they had done wrong. And there was a lot of comments about that the feedback wasn't often enough, that if it was, every few months, that it would be more helpful for their teaching because they could make changes faster. And then there's no additional follow-up. So, they were asked to set a goal. There was no follow-up in that goal. And it was simply to fill in the box rather than something really productive that they felt like was helpful. So then it's like, I have all this data. So what now what? So what is in our locus of control? What is the nuggets that we can pull out and actually make a difference? So here's the infographic. And this is simply broken apart so that you can really take a peek at it. So the data indicates this: that they want ongoing professional development. They want webinars, live and recorded. They want tutorials, and this idea of always learning, but not being overwhelmed with learning. So that's where I think I struggle as a program chair with the balance of that. The communication is so important. Emails, phone calls, videos, resources, they want all this stuff, but ultimately they want to be part of a community. They want to know that there's other associate faculty members out there, because oftentimes they're just connecting with a full-time faculty. They want to know who else teaches the same course that they teach, and they want those social opportunities. So those meet and greets are really important to some associate faculty. They want to know that it's not just them in front of their computer. There's others out there doing the exact same thing. Additionally, around expectations, they want us to take a look at the IQR and walkthrough process. How do we ensure consistency? Is there an opportunity to build a relationship with their evaluator and have an ongoing conversation throughout the year with the progress on their goals, the progress that they're creating in their courses, building on what's going well in their course. Somehow my dog opened the door and now he's joined us. Additionally, what is their status compared to others? Again, not something that's necessarily I was thinking would be in the sphere of my control, but something really interesting that apparently most of our associate faculty are fairly competitive folks that would want to know that. And then this collegiate communication is really intriguing to me because associate faculty repeatedly ask for org charts, and they want to know the who's who. Additionally, they want to hear from the who's who. They want to hear about the vision and mission and what is happening at the university level, what's happening at the College of Ed level, how are they being communicated with leadership to know that they're valued, their insights are included, and that they want to know sort of what that structure actually looks like. And then additionally, they want to be part of the revision process. Associate faculty indicated how many times they've taught the same section of a course over and over, and they want to make sure that their input is included when we're making changes to courses. And then this is the big rock, right? And this is about TLC. So associate faculty members need TLC. They want clarity around who their contacts. I say, who is their person? So if you're a Grey's Anatomy fan, I've used this analogy before, but it works. Meredith and Christina are each other's person, and they talk about that, right? You're my person. And so if you're an associate faculty member sitting at 10:30 at night in your pajamas at home, grading, and you have a question, or you're not sure how to interact with a student, or you're feeling overwhelmed with how to better support a student, you just want to know, who can I process through this with? So who's my person that I can reach out to? Maybe not at 10:30 at night, but certainly you could send the email and know that someone was going to respond to you the next day. And there was much clarity around FSDA. So they know their Sallys and their Mallorys, but they also want to know other associate faculty members who teach their sections, or their full-time faculty members that they can just process through ideas with. The idea of care and community. So the 3 C's, clarity, care, and community, were the most important. And then regarding the IQR process, I kind of already have talked through that, so I'm gonna move forward. The TLC piece. And then really it's this idea that faculty is our connection to our students. And if they're not actively involved, if they don't have the love for Ashford, how does that seep into their courses and how they respond to students? And so how do we make sure that it is consistent for our students, and that improves retention, and that, the Ashford love is there? And so really this cycle continues, the study doesn't just end. And so this year, Alan and I were talking about the same issue specific now to MAED. So we just have completed our preliminary data, hot off the presses, literally yesterday. We have 80 associate faculty specific to MAED. We received a UFP grant as well this year. And had a 35% response rate on the survey, which I was a little bit bummed about. But the preliminary data is not really super surprising, specific to a program. So again, what did we want to know from our associate faculty members? We wanted to know if any of the things that we were already doing were making an impact. So here's some of the information that we found out. Most of them indicate they get an email when they start a new course. Now, MAED full-time faculty will tell you we all send our emails, but whether or not they are aware that this is why they're receiving them, apparently they're not. Some are unsure who their course lead is, so they don't know who their person is. Many do not know that I am the program chair of MAED. Every week since January or maybe December, I send a video to every associate faculty member who's teaching a course in MAED. I send a video of me saying like, yay, welcome, thank you. And many still are saying when we asked them who was the program chair, they didn't have my name. So that's on us, right, to figure out how do we get that information. Most don't know who the associate dean is. Many of you were named as associate deans for the College of Ed. Most do not feel that their input is included about courses. All indicated that they did want to be a part of a MAED professional learning community, which is great for us because that's what the study is really about. How do we generate that? And some of our current efforts were noted. They knew that we were making efforts to generate a community feel. So that's a positive. And then anecdotally, they indicated that, again, communication and context still unclear. This group was asking for an org chart as well, wanting to know who teaches the same courses, wanting to be involved in revision work, and looking for, again, that professional learning piece. Communication again, right? So this is important. And I think as a program chair and as a full-time faculty member, I struggle with how much is too much and giving 15 emails. And in fact, an associate faculty member who came to my session in Colorado said, I teach for 5 universities. So she is an associate faculty for 5. She was like, I don't want 10 emails from you because I get 10 from the other person and the other college. And so I don't have the answer for what that balance is, but I think having a place where people can go and easily find those announcements if they didn't get them in the email or they deleted the email is helpful. An organized site for where they're going to get their information also came out as really important. And then they want to feel valued. They're bringing their experience, their insights, their wisdom to our university, to our programs, and they want to know that they're making an impact and that we are valuing them. So what now what? So really we're back to specific for MAED, now we're going to look at what is the triple C's look like for us as we move forward. It's just a good starting point for us to have the information, and I would encourage you to think about what it is that you want to know from your associate faculty members, ask them, then respond to it, and then we need to go back and we have to ask again because we're not done, right? It's this ongoing cycle of research, the scholarly practitioners in us, the action researchers, and we can really make an impact if we keep following that cycle around and be mindful of people sitting at home at night loving on our students the way that we do and making sure that we feel like we're all connected in some way. So there's my contact information. I would love to process through your stories of other ways that you have been connecting with your associate faculty, and would love to talk with you again after, MAED team revisits this and thinks about additional ways that we can tackle supporting our associate faculty. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Kelly. I think what's so amazing about the research that you're working on is that you are asking hard questions of your faculty. And I know sometimes those are challenging to get those answers back, but it's how we can step forward and improve if they're all saying, "You're amazing. Everything you do is perfection." It doesn't give us much motivation to move forward, but the fact that you're asking the questions and trying to find ways to solve that kind of unanswered question of how do I think we often look to homogenize, right? How we can reach out, be efficient about how we can connect with our faculty. But really everybody is an individual, and some people, like Claire was talking about in the chat, some people are going to love 10 emails, but other people really just kind of want a hub that they can go and retrieve the information as they want. But I think having those 3 C's and really talking about caring and loving up on our faculty so they care and love up on our students is great. Looks like you have a couple of comments in here.
I have to tell you that it broke my heart. Like yesterday looking at, the MAED data really is hot off the presses. And so, I had told Alan too that I was just going to jump in and do some prelim look. And when I went through my little question that said, do you know who your program chair is? And that, they were naming random people. I thought, it's me. You guys, the person who sent you the survey, it's me. But it said to me, again, I don't run into people in the hallway. So I have to tell people that in different ways. And it made me sad to think, gosh, they don't know that they can reach out to me. I'm here for them and they're not sure of that. So you're right. Some of the data is hard to receive. And so I had to let myself feel sad for a little while. And then, thanks, Trevor. And then think about over time. I think Michelle had talked about a couple sessions back that this takes time. This isn't something that you're going to get. I started a year ago, and it will build, it will build, it will build.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Trevor said, hang in there, right? That's why we're having this discussion is I think everyone has tried something to some level, to some respect, to try to engage their faculty. And there's varying levels of success, but I think the kind of overarching theme is that we need to continue, we need to build from year to year. And I love that you're taking that additional step of adding the research component to it. And I agree the UFP process is awesome for those who are involved in it. But it also gives us an opportunity to look at the College of Ed, and then if somebody else takes it for their college, and we can start to combine that information to figure out models that work across the board. There's a question there from Debbie Carpenter. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that it's on us. You're right. There is a commitment piece as well. So I know, having worked at other places, my curtains are going crazy back here, the wind. I also have to, I'm also responsible as a professional to commit to reading those emails, to commit to reaching out, to commit to, if the session doesn't work for me, I have to, as a professional, decide that I'm going to watch the recording and I'm still going to take the time to reach out. So you're right. There is absolutely a balance. I just want to make sure that on the us side, that I'm providing enough opportunities for that to be in place.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for your presentation, and I really appreciate you sharing. I know you were just getting those results from your UFP grant, so I appreciate you sharing that with the group. This has been recorded. We'll be sending it out afterwards. It looks like a couple of people are interested in your slide deck, Kelly, so maybe if you can send it to me, I can pass that on to the group. Please join us again next month on May 8th, Wednesday, May 8th, again at 1 p.m. Pacific time for Forbes School of Business, Dr. Marvi Marr and Dr. Stefan Gonzaga. They will be continuing our series and talking about managing engagement expectations. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Thanks, Kelly.